Hello students, in this video we are going to discuss about fetal circulation. As we all know, during the fetal life, fetal heart, lungs and other organs are not fully able to perform their function. And especially the lungs are not capable to performing the respiratory function. The fetus receive oxygenated blood from placenta and returns the deoxygenated blood to placenta. The fetal circulation in the fetal circulation we can understand by that flow chart. It is the flow chart scheme of fetal circulation in which we are understanding what are the major modifications that is into the fetal circulation. You should come you should compare that circulation with the normal circulation, and what are the essential and extra additional changes which are found into the fetal circulation are we are seeing in this in this flow chart. This special, first of all, the placenta that uh, the placenta that gives the oxygenated blood to the fetus by the help of umbilical vein. Here is the umbilical vein that supplies the that is a connection between the placenta and fetus. The fetus takes the blood from the oxygenated blood from the umbilical vein. Most of the blood, near about 50% of blood, the half of the blood uh, of the left umbilical vein is shunted to the inferior vena cava by ductus venosum, and ductus venosum that bypass the liver, and remaining blood goes to the liver. Here you must mention that there are two umbilical vein. There are two umbilical vein. Okay, there are two umbilical vein, and the placenta takes the umbilical vein takes blood from the placenta. That blood is oxygenated. Here is another you can see in that mostly the veins are carried deoxygenated blood but in the umbilical vein your blood is oxygenated. The oxygenated blood into the left umbilical vein that bypass the liver through ductus venous, ductus venosum, and the 50%, more than the 50% goes into the left umbilical vein into the ductus venosum, and eventually into the inferior vena cava, and remaining 25%, 52 to 25 to 50% blood goes into the liver, and that eventually goes into the inferior vena cava. Through the inferior vena cava, as it is normal, the inferior vena cava opens into the right atrium, and then blood goes reaches into the right atrium. But in the right atrium there is a opening between the right and left atrium. Most of the blood that uh, because the fetus heart is also not fully functional, so most of the blood from the right atrium goes into the left atrium, and some of the blood goes into the right ventricle. That is naturally the right atrium blood goes into the left atrium blood by a facilitated structure that founds into the septum of intras in that septum found into the wall of wall between the left atrium and right atrium, that is foramen oval. Okay, from the foramen oval blood from the right atrium comes into the left atrium, and here some of the blood goes into the right ventricle. That blood goes into the pulmonary trunk, then lungs, but lungs are not fully mature, so some of the blood goes there, lungs and pulmonary vein, and finally reaches into the left atrium. left atrium blood goes into the left ventricle, and the left ventricle blood goes into the aorta. Another circuit is there. In this, right ventricle blood goes into the pulmonary trunk, and from the pulmonary trunk goes into the lungs and pulmonary vein, but some of the blood that goes by another facilitated structure that is called ductus arteriosus, that takes the blood from the pulmonary trunk and uh, that's drain the blood from the pulmonary trunk, and that blood reaches to the aorta. So from these both circuit eventually takes the blood from the left ventricle and pulmonary trunk, and finally blood reaches to the aorta, and through the aorta blood goes into the systematic circulation of fetus, and from the systematic circulation the umbilical veins receives the blood, and that comes into the placenta again. Okay, it is the specialized circulation that is naturally designed for the fetus circulation. Here you mention that there are three main shunts found into the fetal circulation. The first shunt is ductus venosum. Ductus venosum. First shunt is there that we call the ductus venosum. Ductus venosum change at the birth in the fibrous ligament venosum. Ductus venosum change into the ligament venosum. Venosum at the time of birth. Then another shunt is the ductus arteriosus. Here it is the ductus arteriosus, that becomes totally closer, takes about 4 days after the birth, form a fibrous ligament arteriosus, that is also changed into the ligament arteriosus. Okay, so we are discussing here ductus venosum change into the ligament venosum, and ductus arteriosus change into the ligament arteriosus. And one another important shunt is there, that is called the foramen ovale, that is found on the septal wall of the right atrium and left atrium, that is closed when the lungs start functioning and pulmonary vein begins more amount of blood to the left atrium, that rise the pressure in the left atrium, closer the wall foramen ovale, that wall is completely closed. Okay, that shunt is completely closed at the time of birth. This is the scheme of circulation, the scheme of fetal circulation, which is very important as per the exam view. So you must take your notes in front of you when you are studying that particular topic, and seriously you are studying that because it is very important topic as per the exam view. If you have any doubt, you can ask me anytime. Thank you very much to seeing this lecture. Thank you.